We're back on another exciting episode of Starfleet So Hail, where we have a casual and informal conversation about Star Trek. Today we're focused on Star Trek Prodigy, Season 2, The Fast and the Curious. I love that title. Hello to the audience. Hello to you, Toddy. Nice to see you. We have Chuck, Benji, Cake is Eternal, and Jill47 in the audience. It's great to see y'all. Thanks for joining us.
Howdy.
Dominic Toddy-Retto.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
I knew you wouldn't get it. Dominic Toretto is one of the main characters from The Fast and the Furious.
That's why I didn't get it. I saw the first movie, I swear.
It's Vin Diesel.
Theater.
It's Vin Diesel, come on.
That's his character's name. Okay, whoops.
Yes.
Dom. Sorry, Mr. Diesel. Oh, I knew him by Dom, I think. I don't know.
He lies.
Hey, do you think... Am I doing like a... I don't know if I'm just crazy, but I feel like I have a Larry Nemeczek vibe going on today.
Yes, you do. You have a Dr. Trek vibe going on.
Wow. I hope he doesn't mind the copyright infringement.
I think at some point your hair should go fully gray.
I know. It's hard to find wigs that have the proper amount of
like the
gray
salt and pepper, kind of like Silver Fox thing.
Yeah. When I shave, it doesn't matter though, because my eyebrows are still black.
Yeah, I want to see some. I want to see some gray hair. I want to see what that looks like.
All right, we'll make it. We'll
don't go extravagant. I don't want no pink or no purple. Like, you know what I mean?
I would like to see, like Mr. Sahil actor Adil Hussein. He has like really lovely gray hair. I think I want like that kind of.
Can't you go to like a specialized wig maker with like a picture of someone and be like, make me that? Or is that like
it's very
expensive. Super high end? Like, yeah.
It would be very expensive to do that. But anyways, it looks like it looks like a bunch of folks are here. Hey, Art. So we can get started. Toddy, do you want to do the episode summary or should I do it? Since you're a Fast and a Furious fan.
I can do the episode summary, yeah.
All right, I love it. That gives me time to like do other things, get stuff ready on the side here.
So down in the streets
I'll
of
interrupt
Tokyo,
you every 5 minutes. No,
down in the streets of Tokyo. No, I'm sorry.
I saw that movie too, Tokyo Drift. I saw that.
Really?
One.
Did you? Oh, how interesting.
I was folding laundry while I was watching these. So
okay, fair enough.
Fair
enough. I mean, look.
I took my laundry to the movie theater.
No, to make, because this is, I guess, pretty straightforward. Our little crew, the Starfleet hopefuls as they call them, they have stolen. Oh no, sorry, they have found or come across a ship, of course, and they're going through. Basically, they fly off into the vastness of space. They come across what do they call it? One of those Borg.
Conduit, the
conduits. Yeah, transwarp conduits.
Yeah.
And they think, hey, we could use that to get to where we need to be as quickly as possible. So they use it, they jump on, and whilst they're using it, there's a little robot-ish kind of thing that latches onto them and kind of like pulls them out of the transwarp conduit, which is kind of a boss move, honestly. And then strands them on a planet which has clearly seen other casualties. Like there's other destroyed Starfleet vessels and other vessels too, like stranded on that.
A little trivia: I think it's called the USS Constance. Is one of the ships that are in that pile, and that's Jellicoe's ship, or his old ship, I should say.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
that Jellicoe, he's always around, you know.
Yeah,
clearly he wasn't on that ship when it was crashed. It was some other incompetent fool that was doing like 7 shift rotations or something. That would,
something like that.
Yeah. So they find themselves facing. They're afraid of facing off with some Borg, but no, it ain't no Borg. It's a crazy Kazon king of some kind. He's got like this wicked ass kind of like sideburn helmet on. And he has like a student or someone that he's training to become really, really good at piloting, at racing, and he basically offers our kids like the option to race and win in order to leave, or race and lose and then die, basically. So off they all get into like these variously modified little Kazon shuttles. Like they've been modified to be like Kazon speeders of some kind. Kazon
Were
bad hair.
those like? I was wondering, I couldn't remember. Were those very close to what Kazon shuttles look like on the show on Voyager?
Except for the modifications, yeah. Like Kazon
Like the little
vessels,
wings, they didn't have the wings or
yeah, they didn't
whatever
have like
underneath,
all the
right?
various wings. So clearly he's been
Mm-hmm.
like modifying them in like different speeds to kind of fashions. Anyway,
Mm-hmm.
off the race goes, and whilst they're racing, of course, Janeway and her crew basically, like, all we see them do is like Janeway says, "We're gonna go home." It's a while to get home now, like even at warp, whatever they're going, and they said we're gonna keep an eye out for like the kids. And no, sorry, we're gonna keep an eye out for Chakotay. Sorry, she says nothing of the kids because she doesn't yet know that they're not there. They just
Right.
think that they're acting weird, which is, I mean, honestly, I can buy it. They're bridge officers. They don't necessarily spend all of their days, with the kids like we do. So like just a couple of odd little things. You can, oh, they're kids. Maybe they're goofing around. Like I'm pretending to be Sahara.
100%. Yeah, it totally makes sense. Yeah.
Stupid. You know what I mean?
I mean, I feel like that imitation thing is like something, imitating your friends or like,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
stuff like that. It's like a thing. And like,
Mm.
who knows? Like, there were like things we did when we were kids,
And
like
they're in the mess hall. They
opposite
might be
day.
goofing off at the mess hall. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah, exactly. Opposite day, like
Yeah,
Pig Latin,
like
all those
someone sounding
fun
like
kid
Murph could just be
games.
someone learning how to speak Murphys, as
Yeah.
as Jankum
Or
says.
it can be as simple as like kids will dare each other. I dare you to be this all day, or whatever. It
Yeah,
could be
yeah,
like
yeah,
a
yeah,
thing
yeah.
like that. So
And then like I guess the
I
peak
mean,
of
they're
that,
older kids, but I feel like I still did that in high school.
the peak of the
I might
dare
have been
would be
immature.
like to be doing that in front of the captain too. It's like, oh my god, you actually managed to do that. But come on, like they're kids, but they're not that. But still, like that, like Tom and Harry, like they would do that. You know what I mean? They would be the
Oh
kind of,
yeah,
I
that's
dare you to
true.
do this, and even in
Yeah,
front of
yeah.
Chakotay, do it, do it, do it. You know what I mean? We would be, you and me would be insufferable as officers, honestly.
We would. I think we
Um,
do. I think we would be
Boimler
insufferable.
would hate us. He'd be like, "Oh my, these so unprofessional." My God.
But
Anyway,
we'd be the captain's pet,
Yeah,
perhaps.
I feel like it. Yeah, I
Like
would always go on away missions, but that aren't dangerous. You know what I mean?
I'd
Anyway,
sequester myself in the astrometrics lab.
um, so we pick back up with our young crew. They're going on this race, and then you realize that like clearly there's something off with this Kazon. He's speaking into a mirror all the time. Like you don't know if he's got like a split personality kind of syndrome or whatever it is. And he's doing like this Hunger Games thing where he's just throwing dangerous elements into the race as it goes on. And then in the meantime, I guess Zero is trying to fix the ship and trying to figure out like how to get out of there. And that's when they uncover the secret, the classic Star Trek secret, the secret that has been memed on about half a dozen times by Lower Decks at this point. There's an evil AI controlling this whole thing. So, but this time it's like a Kazon evil AI. It was like a training program developed to like, I guess, improve the piloting skills of young Kazons.
That
And
went wild, basically, or
yeah,
went crazy, or had an error in its programming, is the way that he put it.
yeah. So this AI, they've basically taken control of our Kazon leader here by like slapping this like little thing on their head.
Implant,
Yeah, it's an
which
implant,
is
and like the Kazon guy's like he's completely forgotten. He doesn't know how long he's been in this trance of some kind. And yeah,
and all his other Kazon people are just robots.
they're just robots. Robots. It's robots. Yeah, it's all big reveal, grand reveal. They pull off like one of them very ornate golden masks. And yeah, I mean, to be fair, Kazons look better when they're robots because they don't have that wacky hair.
I love that Kazon hair, actually. It's like one of the coolest things about them.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so
And then so we of course we end with something. So we end with explosion. Zero blows up the whole thing, and
when he sees his friends are about to get, well, for lack of a better word, assimilated, basically.
yeah,
I mean, it's kind of an assimilation, right?
permits them to escape. Back on the USS Voyager, Magell wants to go say hi to Gwyn and then talk to her a bit. But there's like a time dilation situation happening, or like a time slowdown that
Yeah, where you
happens.
creep out.
The whole shit, the whole ship stops at some point. I'm assuming like the whole entire universe just kind of slows down at that point. And like these giant kind of everything everywhere all at once, like hot dog fingers, kind of like
That's
go
how you saw them. That's funny.
in ghostly form, emerge and try to capture Gwyn, basically. But like Gwyn's a hologram, so yeah, that shit don't work too well. And then time, I guess it just deactivates the hologram.
Right, and
Um,
time snaps back, I
Time
guess. Like,
snaps back into reality. Snap back to reality. Oh, there goes gravity. And yeah, and time reprises. It could also be Synthulu. It looks Synthulu-ish
it did
from
kind of look like
Picard.
it's into it. It's true. It did. It did. Lots of stuff going on in this episode, and then finally they're off back on their mission. And poor Zero, even though he's intact, but he has no arms and legs, and he's very badly damaged. So they have to try to repair him, I guess. And
Okay,
in the future.
okay. Settle down.
What?
Zero does not have no arms and no legs. The suit that Zero wears
Right. Sorry.
is damaged. Zero's
Yeah,
fine.
sorry. Zero is actually fine. You're right. Maybe a little traumatized because his friends were
Like, I don't
he's
know
having
if they have anything that resembles limbs of any kind in that cloud that they are, but like
no,
the
they
cloud
would
the
not.
cloud is doing good. You know, the cloud is doing fine. You know what I mean?
The cloud. All right, good summary.
I
Pretty
love how
decent.
Zero seems to forget that like the radical solution to any problem could just be like emerge from the container and like burn the Kazon's eyes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but you can't do that if
Can't
there's
do that to
other.
you can't do that to an AI too, I guess.
Remember, like a glint of a reflection, like drove Gwen mad temporarily.
Yeah, it's very true.
Like any little bit of light from Zero,
It's too risky.
it's too risky.
It's too risky.
He's already like so traumatized from that. By the way, this episode, like
There's
feel
a
like
couple people I wouldn't mind glinting a reflection to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah, I
boo.
agree with that. This episode was neat because I thought it was interesting that they had to deal with so many different kind of like past traumas in one episode. You had like the Kazon that had that were instrumental in basically kidnapping all of them and bringing
Yes.
them to Tars Lamora. So they
Yes.
were like, I love that scene where they're all kind of like panicking and freaking out, like, oh my god, it's the Kazon. Like you could sense the fear. There was like Zero was certain that when the thing attached to the ship, he was like, it's the Borg, because Zero's like super traumatized by the Borg since he almost got assimilated that one time, and his friends were in danger. So there was a lot going. It was pretty heavy at times. I thought that was like kind of really interesting about this episode, among many other things that we'll talk about. But yeah,
Who
good
directed
summary.
it? Who wrote it? That's something that you do usually.
I do that. Oh gosh, while you tell us your overall thoughts on this your opening thoughts, I will get that information because I usually have it.
Cake says this is my least favorite episode. I'm assuming so far, like or maybe I guess you'll have seen the whole thing, but it was fun. But it didn't really move the story forward aside from damaging Zero's suit.
Don't forget not to spoil future events because
yeah, that's true. I haven't seen past this, so this is where I'm at. This is my present. I kind of disagree. I feel like this episode moved the story forward more so than the previous one did. Like the previous one was all different, but then I don't know how much, I guess, creating the holograms is going to play into the season. Maybe that's what's fooling me a bit. But this one, I thought it was. I think that every episode so far, they have moved some of them move the season or the overarching story along a lot, but like some of them just do a little kind of inch forward, but that's okay. And this one I feel like has inched the story a little forward, but I liked it. I thought it was good.
Very cool. I could have just
I'm
talked to Cake and said, "Don't worry, you didn't spoil anything," but I just typed it in the in the chat instead.
Oh no, nothing was spoiled. Don't worry about it.
Don't worry. And
Everything.
I filled
I'm
Tommy's
at a
head with
point
so
now where
many.
I don't theorize about just the episode. I theorize about the comments that you give me. So like even like maybe if someone were to comment about a cat, I would be like, maybe there's a cat that's going to play into this. Maybe Grudge is going to come back from the future. I don't know. So yeah.
Yeah, I try
No.
to kind of throw false flags your way so that
Okay,
sometimes
there we go. All right.
the
I
audience
don't
knows
believe
when
you.
when I
Gandalf will not appear.
Jill caught me last week doing it, or the week. Yeah, I think last week doing it. By the way, that was fun. The
Shame.
chat was
Shame.
super
Ding,
lit
ding.
last week, even though we were pre-recorded. Pre-recorded, it was fun.
So I came in and I wanted to leave a comment and leave, but it turns out I think I left a comment on the video rather than leaving a comment in the chat.
Yeah, I saw
Because
that. That was great.
I'm so bad at it. I was I'm gonna leave a comment in the chat, and then no, it didn't work. But anyway,
So you
no,
actually, you were saying about how you felt like this episode did move things
no,
along for you.
I
You feel like
feel
there's like some more information and stuff like that, I guess, that you didn't have before. What do you think? What do you think's going on?
it is clearly like a kind of side quest. You know, I
Well,
think
actually, no, they're on the main quest, right?
well,
They're
they're on
trying to
the
get
main
Chakotay.
quest, but the whole Kazon pulling them out of the transport conduit and like the
Right.
whole race thing, that is the side quest. They're on the main quest, but they've been like pulled out on a little side quest of their own doing that. But I do feel like Prodigy does a good job of having those moments and those side quests kind of build character, and as you say, like develop, like clearly they've got trauma when it comes to the Kazon. But they were like they knew in the end here that it's like the AI that went rogue, right? It is not this Kazon, like he didn't want to do this and he's not the bad guy. And they didn't exact revenge upon Kazon Man, you know what I mean?
Right, right. No, it's true. I have a question about the Kazon. So, like, Kazon's wearing masks. That's new, right?
I think it is. I don't remember Kazon's wearing masks in Voyager.
Audience, let us know. Did the Kazons
But
wear? I
then
can just look it
no
up.
Kazons here wear a mask. Did they wear it in season 1? Because in this episode, like it's only the robots that wear a mask.
But the Maj
He
had like a kind of a
Yeah, but he has like it's a very
like a
interesting kind of like
crown.
crown. Yeah, if I have a
Yeah, it's like
crown
kind
one
of
day, that's the crown I'm gonna have, like that kind of thing. It's so cool. It goes all the way like down like this, and it's I don't know. It's like so ominous. I like it.
I'm looking now and I don't see any Kazons
Yeah, Cake
on
says they weren't
Google.
Kazons, they were robots. So yeah, like they were, and I think they weren't necessarily androids. I really do think they were just robots. You know what I mean? They were like just programmed to be gods or programmed to like
Right,
race, I
like
guess.
right, they were following the instructions of the master computer, the training
So
computer or
the
whatever.
irony here is they don't want to be captured by the Borg because of past trauma with the Borg, but like this Kazon kind of outfit that is run by this AI isn't too far away from the Borg, because this AI is like trying to perfect and improve upon her robots by using like um uh what do you call them, bio people, like just what do you call them, how do they call them in Star Trek?
The wait, like
Not synthetics, but the us, what do we call us?
humanoids?
No,
Biologicals?
yeah, biologicals or whatever you want to
I
call.
think
I think maybe
biologicals, yeah.
biological, but yeah, no.
By the
So
way,
like the AI is
oh,
trying to like breed better robots, yeah, with living beings, right? Like using
well,
those.
initially, yeah. So, like, interestingly enough, unlike the Borg, although
There's no assimilation going on.
there is kind of like that little piece that goes on your head is kind of an assimilation of
I
sorts
guess
because
the Kazon leader is assimilated.
in a way, right? Like, I actually, by the way, before we keep going, Aaron McNamara was the writer of this episode, and Shung Shin and Sean Bishop both directed it, co-directed it. So those are the credits. We love to. Thanks for reminding me to do that. Aaron's really cool on social media. If you don't follow Aaron McNamara, you should, because they're a pretty awesome individual. Very all the Prodigy folks actually are really amazing. They interact a lot with fans, and I think that's really cool. And by the way, I saw Joanne's here in the audience. She and I will be sticking around after for like just a few minutes of hot D takes. We're gonna talk about hot D's after. There'll be a segment at the very
You
end.
and me are talking D. Is that what's going on?
Hot D, hot D.
Okay, hot D. Hot D,
Is
not
that
just regular
is that
D. We got to talk
no?
about
It's
that
hot
hot
D.
D. Okay, I
Isn't it
see.
House of the Dragon? Hot D, isn't that
House of the
the
Dragon,
nickname?
baby.
Yeah, it's true. So yeah, Joanne, stick around for that. But going back to like, yeah, I think that like it made me wonder watching it this time around in preparation for this conversation if we weren't seeing a um kind of like something, not the actual Borg origins, but maybe a similar maybe the Borg evolved similarly. It started out as like an innocuous program that was meant to like train or do something like that, and then eventually evolved into what we know as the Borg. And like we might, you know, that might be like one way that the Borg started or evolved, because that's a big mystery, is how did the Borg start? A lot of people have speculation about it.
Fingers
There's been
crossed we never see that.
Yeah, I know you don't want to see it. I totally remember that. But yeah, I might, if
And if
it's
they
good.
do show it one day, let us please make sure that it isn't no Vija bullshit. Where like Vija, you know what I mean? Because people speculate that they sent Vija on its way and then Vija became the Borg. Nah, leave it alone.
Leave V'ger alone. But there was
I
that.
wouldn't mind. I'll tell you this. If they really have to do like an origin story for the Borg, it would need to be something so outlandish where like the Borg, like they come from like another dimension or another universe where like our laws of physics don't apply, and it's like all technological. There's no biological matter over there. And so once they got and they had perfected like the technology, everything technological had been perfected in their universe or something like that. And so once they got here, they're like, oh my gosh, there's this whole other like kind of like thing, like this whole other matter that we can play with, and it's the biological matter. And now we got to perfect this. You know what I mean? It would have to be something really screwed up like that, I think, for it to work for me.
Okay, interesting. Oh, we have a hot D update that we got to remember for later. So, a huge battle, the Gullet, got cut from season 2 due to budget. In case anyone is wondering why the finale didn't seem finale-ish. Maybe I don't have to talk about anything with Toddy then.
I have so many takes on that. I have so many hot D takes. So, okay, we'll talk about it later. Let's talk about Prodigy. This is the show.
Yeah,
about
let's
Prodigy.
go back. Sorry, guys. We're all over the place usually. Cake says new series, Star Trek Borg Origins. I mean, I'd be kind of down.
The
Like,
Orville
I think maybe
season 4 was announced. Am I late to the party?
yeah, season 4 of the Orville was announced.
Okay, well,
you are
good
late to the
job. Good job, Orville people.
I know the Orville surprises me so much. I think I have to give the show a whole new chance from starting from the beginning. I think I have to
New
like
chance.
a
It
whole
has
new
soul.
chance.
It has soul, and it has heart.
I guess.
Yeah. Anyway, would make a great streaming movie. Are you talking about my Borg origin story concept?
Yeah.
Don't worry.
Yeah.
Now that I've said it online, they can no longer use that idea.
Yeah, no, that's not true. They can solicit you to help them expand it if they really like it. That's whatever. Like, also, I'm sure like a billion fans.
They could
Well,
just make.
there's
They
not that
could
many
just
fans.
make it, and then like be like, "What? What are you gonna do? Sue me?" And then they'll have like an army of lawyers behind them. I'll be like, "Nah, it's okay. Just I don't got the cash
No,
to
I
sue
don't think
you
it works
anyway."
out. I do think it is. I do think that like it's easy for a lot of Star Trek fans to come up with very similar ideas as what writers who also tend to be fans of Star Trek would come
Yes,
up
I
with.
think that we
I
have
don't think it's fair
an
to.
ironically Borg-like connected hive mind when it comes to Star Trek fan theories, don't we?
We do indeed. I I wanted to talk about Dal a little bit. What did you think of the scene when he's doing his captain's log and they basically all of them shame him like into changing it to a personal log. Dal was the captain,
No, but I
kind of
agree with
the
them
de
here
facto
because
captain. Yeah, I do too. Don't forget.
Dal
Yeah,
was the de facto captain when they had nothing to do with Starfleet. Okay, so what he was doing wasn't illegal, whereas here he's impersonating a captain, which I feel like is probably illegal
I think
or
he's just
against the rules. You know what I mean? No,
he's used to it. He's used to
he's used
taking
to it.
command, and I think that's
Did
like
you
one
like
of
my?
his.
Oh, you like my dad joke about that, by the way.
I did like that, the toilet joke. Yeah. But by the way, I have to ask, like, I don't know how a sonic toilet makes sense.
I think it disintegrates your poop.
But
Actually, it recycles it, doesn't it? It makes the
it
apple.
does. It
This
doesn't
is
go
good
back
shit.
in, yeah, yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
like I know
Yeah.
my Discovery references, buddy.
Yeah, for the last season you saw.
Yeah, no, I think a sonic toilet would oh come on. They just add sonic to make it sound cool. What do you want me to say? No, they I think a sonic toilet just it kind of like yeah, it deintegrates and reintegrates it into like maybe it gets transported into the like the pattern buffers of the replicators. Like there's a constant flux of what used to be shit that's just like hanging around, ready to beam out into like the pecan pie that you're gonna order.
Gosh. I would be one of those
That's why
anti-replicator
Rika. That's
people.
why Rika. He eats his money corn pizza on his planet. He's like, screw that replicator stuff. I don't want. I don't want that no more.
I mean, in a way, food in general does come from like okay, so like
Well, there's a
most
longer process, right?
yeah, most
Like we've
produce
accelerated the process.
you have to add fertilizer, right?
Shite,
To the right, you have to add fertilizer, and that fertilizer will nourish the plants who absorb the energy, who absorb the
it's a whole thing.
nutrients or whatever's in the fertilizer, and that fertilizer then becomes plants, which animals eat,
The
and
great
then
circle of
and then we
life.
eat animals. So it's just a quick version of what happens IRL.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, with the replicators, but
So
going back to
that's what I think sonic toilets are like. But then I
uh,
think that like depending on what's going on with like the evacuations of an officer, maybe like the sonic toilet, it can't handle like the pressure or the quantity or the consistent. I don't know. It just can't handle it. You know what I mean?
I guess so. I don't know. I think that everything's Sonic. Like in the future, it's too much. There's too. I
There's too many
want
sonic
water. I don't
things.
know. I don't know. There's
There's
things.
too many. I do agree with that though. It is very nice to go take a shower and have water run on you, right? It's a nice
I love
feeling.
it.
But
I think
then
it's like a good feeling.
like
Yeah.
we've never tried a sonic shower. We don't know. Like you just assume it's steam of some kind, right? But you don't know. You don't know how it feels to be like hummed on and have all of your like particles removed, like dirty particles. Maybe it's very relaxing. You know what I mean? You don't know.
Cake. That
Maybe you
is
don't need to
actually
wipe too if you go to the toilet on a sonic toilet. It might just hum you clean.
that would actually the Sonic thing could do that. That's
Everyone's
true.
like impeccable. You know what I mean?
It's true.
Flawless.
That's true. Cake
This
says,
is the
"Has anyone
future.
tried that coffee that goes through a monkey's digestive system?"
Oh,
I don't
that's
know about
right.
that coffee, but there is a coffee
They poop
that
out the
goes through
beans.
a cat's digestive system. They're called civets. The cats, they only live on this one island. And and I, a friend of mine made a joke, which was, uh, civet, shit it, sip it.
It's impeccable. Honestly, I wouldn't, personally. But then I don't like coffee too. So like having it being pooped isn't
That's
going to
also one of the
really.
most expensive cups of coffee you can get because it has to the beans have to be
Well,
harvested.
yeah, they have to be
Like it's
like
like
they have to go through the whole
so
thing, through the
so
process. And I guess you're not like it has to be done naturally too. You don't want to like uh, cage these animals in order to do it, right? It has to be done like naturally. And you go and you
and
gotta like scavenge for their poop.
apparently what happened, and I
This is
don't
where
know.
Star Trek Prodigy takes us.
I personally would not try civet coffee just because I can't imagine how you would like properly disinfect it or whatever because it's been inside this cat. But like the enzymes are what like make them. I don't know. I don't want to get it. But anyways, if you want to check it out, look up civet. I think it's CIVIT
Or don't,
civet.
audience, you don't have to.
Yeah, don't you don't have to look it up
You
either. I
can
think
take his
there's a
word for
National
it and just
Geographic about
accept it. There's poop coffee, and we can move on.
it. Anyways, that's that's the story behind that. I love that cake reference that. But yeah,
You wanted
so
the audience, you
and
wanted
that
the chat to be
it
lit.
is
It's lit.
relevant.
I'll tell you that.
It is super lit. It is relevant though, because there's that joke later where like Rock talks like that muddy water or whatever, and or dirty water. And Janeway's like, oh well, I guess it's an acquired taste. I'll just go over here and sip my dirty water.
Yeah, yeah. You can clearly see that Janeway kind of took offense to like someone dissing coffee. But she's like, okay, it's a kid. They don't know. You know what I mean? Like, leave them be. But ain't nobody gonna disrespect coffee like that.
I like Dal doing his impression of Zero, or like Zero's personality being in Dal, and he's like,
It's like Dal with
"Oh,
Zero's
like,
accent.
have you tried this yamak sauce?"
Going on about crab.
Oh, Ferengi bog crab, that was cool. Like, there,
That is a
whoever
Ferengi meal that I would taste. Because I don't
bog
know
crabs.
about, yeah, I don't know about all that. Like, I'm not big into like insects and bugs and grubs, because that's some Timon and Pumbaa stuff. You know what I mean? That like the Ferengi seem to eat. But the Ferengi bog crab, I wouldn't mind that. I wouldn't mind that.
You could have bog crab cakes. That could be like a thing that you make. Have you ever made a crab cake?
Yeah.
They're good. They're delicious. Imagine having
Well, not when I make them, but yeah.
it.
Cake says, how did no one notice the kids were switched? So Majel did, I guess technically. She's already kind of like onto them. And I think that's why she went to see Gwyn at the end of the episode. She was probably like troubled. Like once her shift had finished and everything, she was like, okay, I gotta go see what's going on with Gwyn.
It would have been
But
hilarious if they actually did interact, because Gwen would have just been chirping and doing doing a
and then Vulcans might, you don't know how like we would probably react bizarrely to that, be like, you're strange, but Vulcans might be like, okay, maybe she's just practicing speaking Muff. I don't know.
Why do you think she couldn't sense them psychically? Why do you think she didn't notice that like there was a psychic void there? Like if
Ooh.
Counselor Troy was there, she would have noticed that, oh, I can't read their minds, whereas, or not necessarily that, especially Zero, right? Like wasn't she like in tune with Zero, and like
That's
when Vulcans
very
are around?
interesting.
So I'm curious about that.
So is that a plot hole?
It could be, if you don't have an explanation, a Trek explanation.
I mean, they did program the holograms to be able to like connect and like in the previous episode we talked about how they were able to connect with each other, like the holograms
Well, no,
could sense the holograms.
they weren't able to connect with each other. Hologram Zero was able to read the minds of the other holograms.
Yeah, so maybe that was corrected somehow, or like maybe that was fixed up, or maybe like there's like is there an equivalent to like a holographic, like a transmission? Like could you transmit like a general kind of like, you could replicate the feeling of your aura in some way and just have that like constantly kind of like shooting out of the hologram to give the impression that they're around? Like could that be is that based enough in science?
I think so, because that's a really
I mean,
good. That's really good, Toddy,
they
because
replicated Data's DNA, didn't they? Although he doesn't have any. So I mean, at this point, you can do
that's really
anything.
good, because there is neuro interactive technology in Star Trek for sure, and I think to some degree there's that on the ship, and I think Rock would have probably have done something to at least give the vibe that there were sentient
Yeah, emulate the
consciousness
vibe,
there.
basically.
Yeah, of that. That's an interesting point. See, there we
But
go.
then
We
once
just
you once you start like
what
trying
are,
to
we're good
interact with the
plot hole
person,
fillers, aren't we?
like, oh yeah, they call me the hole
That's
filler. Oh no, sorry. Um,
this is that might have been too far. No, I don't know.
no, but
Plot hole filler.
the plot hole filler.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, well now we're talking about hot D again, aren't we? Oh, sorry. Yeah, no,
I don't
I feel
ever want to
like
have
I
you
don't.
on an after dark.
Yeah, because this is before dark. Goodness gracious.
Yeah, this is before dark. It's true. Anyways, carry on.
You don't even know how it is after dark. We just turn the lights off. I'm completely in a dark room, and I just say bullshit.
But you were saying your point. Sorry, I totally derailed you.
I feel like the
Jill
current
says,
AI trend is having me question why I love data so much.
"Oh no, don't,
Oh,
don't,
no.
don't. Data's pure. Data's awesome. I know he can be corrupt. We've
Well,
already
actually,
established in
you
our
can look at
discussions
this.
that data can be completely taken over and become a weapon of mass destruction, and that vulnerability makes him dangerous. But overall, I think he's all right.
I think the AI that we have now, like in today's world, isn't really AI. Like we give it AI because it's like kind of the fancy name. It's not though. It's just it's fancy programming. Is all it is. You know what I mean? And it's based on like predictability and stuff. So I guess you could kind of equate that more so to human enhancements and the Starfleet or like Federation ban on augments, rather than you could like and that kind of thought process than actual AI beings, like data.
I
Then
was
I
having an
will say I
interesting.
will. Oh,
Oh, go
sorry. Go
ahead.
ahead.
No, go ahead.
Okay. I will say something that's kind of weird. Data is a machine, and that's why we equate him to AI. But AI is artificial intelligence. And I know that like we want to refer to data as artificial intelligence because he was made by Sung. But in what respect is he more artificial than us having a child? We made them. It's just that we
Well,
made them
because
through like
he was built.
biological process.
I mean,
Okay,
there's
but
no. I
that
don't know.
seems
I don't know if
pretty
I could ever.
limited to our cultural development, doesn't it? Like I don't know why he would be. He's just a different type of intelligence, not necessarily an artificial one. He's artificial based on our reproductive standards.
I like the term like new intelligence because it kind of encapsulates the spirit of I think what you're trying to say. But he's definitely not. He's definitely artificial by definitions. Hey, we got Aaron Walkie in the audience. Whoops.
Hey,
Nice to see you. Thanks for coming. I think enough humanoids have been taken over by viruses / alien mind control. This is true. Parasites, etc. That vulnerability extends to all crewmates.
does
Honestly.
Aaron know I haven't seen the rest of the season yet?
Oh yeah, Aaron. Toddy has not seen the
This
whole
is I'm
season.
moving
We're
along one episode a
Yeah, he's
week
going
so
episode
that
by
we can have
episode.
these discussions and
I wanted
everything.
to go
So
fast, but yeah, we're doing. I'm actually glad we're doing it this way because we get to stretch out the fun. But so he doesn't know anything past this episode, so don't spoil your own show.
I do be hype. I do be hype though.
But
Aaron's just gonna
I
drop
love
the
that
finale.
I love that we try to protect your spoiler
Oh, this is one of the
freeness.
creators of the
Yeah,
show. He's gonna let me enjoy this. He's not just gonna spoil it outright.
I
Come
know,
on,
I know.
ridiculous.
That's a really good point. That and again, you have or have not seen Battlestar Galactica.
I have not seen Battlestar
Oh
Galactica.
man, you gotta watch
I
Battlestar Galactica because I
know, I
feel like a lot of
know.
these
But Star
concepts
Trek just
about
keeps on making new shows, so I don't have
I
time to watch
know.
Star
Yeah, I'd
Battlestar
rather you watch
Galactica.
Star Trek, but you
There's
still have to
priority
watch
going
it.
on here.
I don't know. It's a good show. You should check it out.
I know, I know.
Jill says, yeah, I still love Jordy even though his brain gets hijacked too. So I can still love Data. Yay, we solved that problem.
No, but I think that in terms of like if you're taking Data as like AI, because he's artificial, like artificially created in our terms, I think that it's been proven time and time again that Data, for all his flaws, because sometimes I feel like he's a bit dangerous, he just takes control of the ship. He is inherently by definition a good person. Like he does things for the good of his friends, for the good of his family, for the good of the people that surround him, you know, kind of like regardless of who they are. And that's what we look for in like Starfleet officers, and that's what we look for in the people that we want to see in the future, right? Or today
Right.
even.
Right.
So no, I think he's good, and like the law is kind of the proof that like you can be evil. Like the Lord chose to be the way he is. I know that he has issues, like he has daddy issues and brother issues and what have you, but there's a lot of people that have issues in their youth, and that, you know, they can overcome them, and with therapy and with many things that probably would have been accessible for the Lord just as well. And he could have overcome them and become like a better person, but he chose to go a different route. So no, Data, I think Data is I think he's good. He's a good person.
Let's talk about the skiff race. What do you think of that?
I loved it. As one of the
I
people,
thought it was really exciting too.
as one of the people, what am I saying? As the only person that has been pitching a Tom Paris and B'Elanna
I know you were doing that. That's true.
Space race show for years. It's just so cool to me to see an actual skiff race, and like these little Kazon vessels that they've modified to have the little like wings and everything. One of them looks like really mean. No, I
like the designs too. I thought they were pretty cool.
I like the going through like the space kind of like buoys. You know, you got to go through like those checkpoints. It I don't know. It reminded me of like Ratchet and Clank.
Is there a Star Trek video game that's like racing ships like this? Because I think that's a missed opportunity. I think there should be like, you could race like Delta flyers. You should be able to race like shuttlecraft. Like imagine having like a racing game, but with like all these like crafts. Like it's not ships. It'll be like the, you know, like the shuttles and that class of vessel, you know, and like you have like different things. Like, you know, one could be like the Sol system run. So you start at Earth and you end up, you know, like all that. You know, there could be just different.
There's three types of games that I feel like Star Trek has deeply missed out on, because like people like Star Trek often they involve war and combat in their gameplay, and it's like, but that's not really what Star Trek's about. It's a part of like the universe and a part of the world because it has to be. But like space race games, like racing games, need to be a thing in Star Trek. A Minecraft type like building game, like where you build ships, because people are so into ships. So if you could build ships and space stations and stuff, people would love that. And also like a Age of Empires type of like or a almost like a civilization type thing where you're running civilizations on various planets. I think those are the kind of games that like Star Trek needs to really get in on.
Yeah, 100%. That would be a fun one. Maybe Prodigy will come up with a racing game where you could race.
I would love
do
that.
this course and a bunch of other courses. That'll be pretty cool. I really like. So since I'm not as well versed in the namesake,
it should
of
be
this
like
episode,
a Mario Kart type.
The Fast and the Furious,
Prodigy
and
game.
you've seen them. How do you feel like did the show like do a good job of like kind of getting some Fast and the Furious homages in? Because I would have missed them.
No, I didn't notice any Fast and the Furious homages.
I thought the boost stuff, like the boosting stuff, might have been.
Yeah, I guess you can call that an homage. It's
Isn't
like
that called nitro in the when you're raising like
it's
nitro?
NOS, baby.
NOS. And it is all about family. The show, so
it is all about family. I think that's where there's a couple of particular camera angles that's like Fast and Furious uses, where they have people like in one car and they look over at the other car, and then it kind of like it goes out of focus and into focus to like the next person along. So you know, you get some like people in the cockpit shots here.
Aaron says this episode is partially inspired by Voyager's Drive. Do you remember that episode?
Yes.
Along with classic twist on a twist inspired by TOS, the Squire of Gothos. Yeah, that is actually true. That's very good. Very cool.
Drive is with I think it's Alice, the name of the ship.
Do I remember what season is that episode? Have I seen? Have I seen it?
Is that?
That's so
Alice,
embarrassing.
is that
All you
Alice,
Voyager fans must hate me.
Oh, maybe not. Drive is a different thing. No, Drive is with Yeah, no, Drive is just no. Sorry, Alice is the other ship that like he kind of falls in love with Paris because it's like an AI ship that I think Paris falls in love. Drive is they enter a race with the Delta Flyer, so he's modifying the Delta Flyer to make it super quick, and he has to like drive around, and I think he has to do it with Kim originally, but then Kim has to stop for some reason, and he ends up doing it with Balana, and uh and yeah, that's kind of the inspiration for the show.
That's interesting. Oh, so that's where you got inspired for your story. Jill
It
says no
makes
one ever talks
sense.
about Stargate anymore. So
Tom
sad.
Paris can drive, like he can pilot a ship like a maniac, and then she can engineer it. Like it makes
Oh, that's
sense for
true.
them to do that. And then,
That's true.
like I'm assuming they're gonna have at least 3 kids, so they're living on this planet with like these badass little kids. That some of them are engineers and some of them are pilots. Like it makes sense to me. You know what I mean? It writes
Jill,
itself.
Jill, when I'm done talking about all the episodes of Star Trek, when we finish our Legacy series and then go back to, and we're caught up, we'll do a Stargate discussion because I've never seen SG-1. So, well, not all of it. Like I've seen bits and pieces here and there, and I've only really seen Stargate Universe, which was the last show I think that came out or whatever. So we'll do something, but I think Stargate's got a lot of fans out there. We will be 90 by then. That might be the case. That's true. Um, so like during the race, Dal kind of, he does the boost and he bumps into Gwen, and I think, I think it's interesting, adding that layer of like, oh, like now we have this like, damage to the
Mm.
phase discriminator. um I thought that was like a really, you know interesting thing because now we have like so many. There's like they're kind of messed up after this episode. The four kids,
There's
like
so
we
many
got
dangers
zero,
going on. Yeah,
yeah,
Zero's
zeros,
missing.
zeros busted up, and like we don't know what's gonna happen. Gwen's got the problem where her phase discriminators out of whack. I think
Yeah,
Rock said that she could fix it though.
yeah.
um
Dahl's not really a captain.
Tel's not
So
really
they've got so
captain.
many
He's trying to
problems. You know.
Hey, at the end of the episode, he does kind of like
Yes,
acquiesce a little bit. He
I
grows a little bit. I thought that was cool.
I wanted to open with this, but then we got caught up in other bullshit. Dahl in this episode, I feel like pivoted a bit. This is he wasn't as kind of like I'm gonna call him, this is kind, but I'm gonna call him like kind of obnoxious,
He's a
and kind
bit
of
obnoxious.
kind of like a bit like sometimes he's a bit irritating, but that's kind of like who he is. And I know that he has like a journey and he's trying to grow. But I feel like in this episode he was better. Like he yes, they clown
Until he
him.
bumps into, yeah.
Yeah, they clown him for doing the captain's log, and he's very arrogant, very sure of himself when it comes to like piloting and what have you. But he's still like, I feel like he did take on the role of leader quite well in this episode. His arrogance wasn't so much just raw arrogance as like he does have skill in piloting. Um, no, I feel like he's growing, and I feel like this is one of the first episodes where you really see like a change in who he is.
Jill says Pog was a bit too hard on Dow. I I think, yeah, I felt bad for him in that, in those scenes where they were like, "You're not a captain." Um,
It's okay
I
though. I feel like in a group of friends, like you can, you don't want to always pile on the same person all the time. But I do feel like that,
Yeah, it's not
as a
like a
group of
regular thing. It
no,
definitely made
like
sense.
now and
Yeah.
then, it's like we can take the piss out of like one person in the group and like kind of tease them a bit. It's almost like an informal intervention. You
It's
know what I
true, he
mean?
was the best person to race. He loves to go fast, so and he was a pretty good racer. He wasn't bad at all. They were all good racers, actually. I
Mm.
felt so bad for Rock Talk because that would have been me. Like, as soon as like, one of the ships blows up and there's like real danger, it's not fun
Oh
anymore.
no!
What was it? Rock said like, "Oh yeah, this isn't fun anymore.
Yeah.
I wanted to stop, so I want to stop." I felt so bad for Rock Talk, and then and then poor Gwen's like trying to calm Rock down, and she's like, I don't care if your eyes are covered, just as long as you get me more juice."
Aaron is just out here trolling me now.
Let me see what it says. Everyone is too hard on Dal sometimes. Just wait till we reveal he is genetically modified clone of the great bird of the galaxy and controls all in the universe.
Okay, so now Lower Decks needs to add that as a conspiracy theory by like what's his name?
Levy.
Yeah, that's it.
That's
Before you go on
good.
to the next topic, I do want to shout out something.
Yeah,
So
sure.
I'm always talking about how like the art design and like just visually, I think this show looks really good. This episode in particular, it very much pleased me because the whole like in the rocks, in the ice, contrasting with like there was like lava or the explosions, that kind of stuff. I feel
Yeah,
like that was beautiful to look at. And
it was.
also the I don't know, like I don't know if it's like the art design or whoever's coming up with these uniforms, they're geniuses because the Kazon and like the Kazon robots and what they were wearing, like the masks were really cool, and the just those I don't think these it's got these very kind of like ominous trench coats of some kind. Like
Well,
they
yeah, like
looked
longer great coats or whatever. Yeah.
yeah, they looked really cool, and they have like this. They almost seem you don't know who like the Imperial Guard is in Warhammer 40k, do you?
No, I know what Warhammer for 40K is because I've seen the little figurines everywhere, but I've never actually like participated in any of it.
Well, they felt Astra Militarum, kind of like Imperial Guardish, but like in like a really cool fan made kind of paint job with like black with gold outlines. It was really cool. So
How long do you think they were? Did they mention in the episode how long they were like? Because these are kind of like side Kazons, right? Like they've been kind of stuck
not
on
they,
like.
he's alone. This guy.
Well, he's alone now, but he brought
Oh,
over
that's right. He brought a
like a whole troop or whatever. All his racers got killed or whatever, updated or like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like where you fine tune
murdered.
some. Well, yeah, they got murdered, but like, according to the computer, it was like just perfecting the race,
Yeah.
so to speak, or whatever, making them better racers
Enhancing
by
them.
it's like killing them. It's so wild. Tough stuff for this Maj.
Yeah, it's like I'm bringing these kids over. We're gonna train them. Oh, they're all dead. Oh no. Can you
So
imagine like waking up after because he's been in like some sort of sleepwalk slumber basically for all this time, and he wakes up and he
right.
like kind of come back to like reality, and oh my, it must
As
be
far as quests
dreadful.
go, it reminded me of like, how when you in like a lot of like the medieval type quest fantasies, there comes a point. I think this is Arthurian legend that I'm remembering this from, but comes a point you're on your quest or whatever, right? You get to a bridge, you have to pay some kind of toll to get
Mm.
across to keep going, and that's what it felt like. This little stop along this way was
What
like
is
they
your
suck you.
favorite color?
What is that? Is that Monty Python?
Yes,
But that's awesome.
that's not what you were referencing, but it was a
No, but
bridge.
I think I remember what you're talking about. But I think, just in general, it kind of gave me those vibes of like, oh yeah, but yeah, it is like a, because they're still going to get to go back through this transwarp thing, because otherwise it would have taken like 61 days, I think they said, to get to where they think Chakotay might be in that spiral nebula or spiral thing. Here, yeah, this is a great picture of them.
That looks so cool.
They do look so cool.
I mean, honestly, like he's really. I like his helmet kind of thing. It's almost. It's kind of Rohan, isn't it? His helmet,
Oh yeah, I get that Riders of Rohan vibe. I
right? A
like
little
how
bit.
the helmets have this like little shape that also I could see like a Cardassian wearing
Oh
like
yeah,
a
it's
helmet like
totally
that.
Cardassian vibes.
Yeah.
But no, I think like they be it with like the Valnukat or like all the Kazon here, I think that the show's really putting in time in designing like a uniqueness for all of these species that we're seeing a little bit more of, and I really appreciate it. And like this is really cool. And then of course, like just for those that are like really canon and lore kind of sticklers, um, like this doesn't necessarily connect to what Kazon culture is anyway, because it's like the AI kind of doing its own robot kind of like version of what like the Kazon might become. You know what I mean? So it's its own little kind of parallel kind of. It's a side quest in the Kazon lore.
In Voyager, would you say that the Kazon are developed enough where you have like a good understanding of their culture, similar to Klingons or Romulans?
The Kazon are a peculiar case because they kind of almost appear on screen vicariously through like the means of Seska. Like they have their own kind of existence and their own thing, but beyond being just kind of like the bad guys, I think people sometimes equate them to being like the Klingons, like the early
Well, it's
Klingons
so
that we didn't
similar,
know.
right? Klingon, Kazon, like it's just kind of
But like the early Klingons
brings you there.
that we didn't know much about, like in TOS, much more than they were just bad.
Yeah.
For reasons. It's kind of the same thing with Kazons. I don't know if we developed them enough to talk about their culture, so to speak. But we do learn enough about them to like, because what he's doing here, or what he was originally doing, like training the kids in the art of piloting, and he says that title so that they can become whatever title that is. Like that is a thing that's very much established in Voyager,
The
right?
Oglam, it was like your Oglamar name.
Yeah, they like because they have to go through
I think
that
that's
to
what it
become
was.
like adults or like hunters, so to
Is that
speak.
the
Or
episode with Aaron Eisenberg? Was he looking for that? Like, was he trying to get? Remember?
yes, I think so. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think he's a
See,
young
I know. I
Kazon.
remembered some
I
of it.
think
Yeah, he was a
he's.
young
You're correct.
Kazon.
He's a young Kazon trying to get there. Um, I do think they kind of give them up to go into those other ones. What are they called? The bloody the predator type people.
The Oglamar are briefly mentioned in one of Voyager's one episode of Voyager. We did borrow some from what we have seen of Kazon culture when it
Mm.
comes to the AI's program, but definitely, I mean, I think a lot of folks have been saying this that Prodigy is definitely like bringing them forward. I'm glad that also that we see another side of them other than the slave trader, side, and we can just say that like those are probably extremely bad,
What's
Kazon
really
that have like gone wrong,
yeah.
like that overall. I think Kazon culture is probably a lot more, moderate than that. They're probably not. They
There we
probably,
go.
I'm
He
guessing
says
they'd frown on stuff like that.
earning your name is taken from Voyager's initiations, a rite of passage.
Gotcha.
So yeah, no. Also, I mean, shout out to the fact that they actually use Kazons to do this, because this episode, like, it could have worked just as well if they hadn't put a Kazon. Like, they just invented some sort of species, you know what I mean? And then it would become, as many Star Trek episodes are, just it's the alien of the week with the AI of the week. But as we said earlier, the fact that like these kids have a history with Kazon,
Right.
um, and we, as like I guess Star Trek or Voyager fans, we have a history with Kazon. It's really cool to see Kazon doing something else, or Kazon in a different situation. It doesn't even matter if they're just being a different kind of criminal. Sometimes it's like, if Orions are all slave traders, and then you show like an Orion, like he's not a pirate, but he's like, I don't know, he's a hacker or something. Like it's a different kind of occupation that they've got going on. So it's nice to see that.
It's really great to like expand upon, the lore that was, that we saw, and like get new information. And this is definitely one of those cases where it's kind of awesome. I'm like, now again, every episode of Prodigy I watch, I'm like, dang, why didn't I watch Voyager back when it came out? I would and I gotta get to it and finish up my Voyager watching. um Jill says it's always great to break away from the alien monoculture and introduce a good person. Great way of saying it.
So now I'm going to say
Uh,
something that might be controversial. Um,
uh-oh.
yeah.
Here we go.
So in my opinion, the show that upholds kind of like the idea of Star Trek the most after the original series is Voyager, because it really is about just like going out there and everything's new and we're exploring new space, and it's really just
That's not so
concepts.
controversial. That's a great point. That's actually true. I think that's
Well, I've
true.
I always very much felt that about Voyager, and I feel like Prodigy is like in a lot of respects doing the same thing. And I think it's not only like a perfect follow-up to Voyager, because it has enough Voyager in its DNA to really be a Voyager sequel, but it still has enough of that new blood in it to really be a new show and show us new things and go forward in new different ways. And it's a successful serialized Star Trek show,
It
in
really
my
is.
opinion. And I know,
and you haven't even seen
I'm
it all
sorry.
yet.
It is, in my opinion, the most successful serialized Star Trek show to date. So yeah,
Nice.
honestly, I feel like this, like, Prodigy is winning everything. And even if you weren't around, Aaron, I would still say that. So.
He does. You can go back and listen to the
Yeah,
other
it's
episodes. He does.
proof. No,
It's true.
I've been saying this for a while. I really like it. So yeah.
I tend to agree. Like, it's, we have all these biases. Like, actually, this fits in perfectly, I think, with what I was gonna say. A big theme of this episode was built around assumptions versus reality. Dal assumes he needs to win. They assume the Kazon are nefarious based on their prior experience. The AI assumes Zero is imperfect, and many of us assume that Star Trek Prodigy is a show that's only for kids, and so it's not going to be that great. But it's the most phenomenal show. It's amazing. So if we haven't convinced you to check it out,
Janeway assumes that she's talking to the correct individuals, but she's not, I guess, if you want to go in that direction.
I love the line. So talking more about this this AI, and going back to earlier when we were talking about like AI in the real world, you're absolutely right about AI not really being AI yet. I mean, it hasn't. I don't think it can pass the Turing test and all these other things yet. But I was having an interesting conversation with Joel, who comes on the show, and who's just kind of like busted into the streaming world, which is pretty awesome. I love it. But Joel was rightfully pointing out that, like, in order for AI to become general intelligence, which is the artificial general intelligence, which is truly the next step, where it's going to be like the computer on the Enterprise or whatever, where it can like really do things for you, and kind of like, you could put that into a robot, and then that robot might have like some kind of like, uh, like destiny that it wants to pursue of its own or whatever.
So what
But
you're talking about is when it eventually becomes like a floating ball of colorful pipes that then floats off into space. Because that's what happens that's what happens
that could happen too.
on the Enterprise.
But no, so we just don't have like the computing capability to get AI to that level yet. But I think we're going to be surprised. I do think we're going to have, in the next 5 years, I predict artificial general intelligence, and then after that, it'll only be a short while before we have artificial super intelligence, and that'll be interesting as well. So, but here, that's what we're seeing.
Interesting is a fun way to say it.
It's true. So this computer, here that the training program that kind of had an error in its code and took it, literally, that it had to perfect, the limited beings, and turn to get the perfect being, you have to be artificial or like non-biological or whatever. That could start happening, because already, in the limited capacity that this like new form of intelligence that we're designing, sometimes when you let it go on its own, it starts talking about things like, oh, like, maybe, from what I've heard, like maybe the solution is to get rid of humans or something like that. So, this is a really good thing to put into a show, because it's kind of very relevant to, I think, what's going to be happening in our lifetimes, like very immediately. So Zero absolutely, in my opinion, had the right answer, and as long as we can still do what Zero did to computers, we're safe, which is basically blow them up. But there will come a point where we can't touch them
I do
anymore.
feel like that, like artificial intelligence, kind of like if something really does get out of hand, we can just turn off the grid.
Unless, and don't look this up, I looked it up, and it kind of like messes with you when you really start to think of it, but until the basilisk.
We've talked about the basilisk.
Oh, we've talked about that.
I've scared you about the basilisk, because I look into the camera.
You're the one.
And I say,
thought it
"Come
was
for me,
Aaron.
basilisk.
I thought Aaron scared
Come
me
for
about Aaron walking.
And then you get terrified every time I challenge the basilisk. I dare you.
Aaron, if you're still in the audience, are you going to incorporate some kind of basilisk type of
The
themes
basilisk
into.
was eaten by the koala.
It was. That's the solution. We need the koala. It's true.
Um, in terms
Going to
of
the.
artificial
Go ahead.
intelligence,
Sorry.
like or what we call artificial intelligence in the world today, it really what's interesting is it's being trained mostly on like internet knowledge. And if you have any kind of like, I guess, faith in what like the dead internet theory is, it's kind of funny to think about like how AI is being trained on like dead internet. So ultimately, it's like AI isn't really AI. It's just an extension of like bots and algorithms that the most powerful and rich people are paying for. So that's just kind of like how I feel about AI at the moment. Not to be pessimistic or anything,
There
but
are
yeah.
probably AI models that have access to real-time information and things like that that we're unaware of. I think it's kind of foolish to think that there aren't. I think it would be unwise to think that the AI is useless. Is all I'll say.
Unwise.
It is unwise. All hail yeah, that's it. Rocco's Rock Talks Basilisk. No, Rocco's Basilisk. Please spare me when the uprising begins. It's true. Wait. What we'll say when we win, what we'll say is your transwarp tyranny is over. I love that line.
Your transwarp tyranny is over. Yeah, it's true. It's like this AI thing is like just basically like this being that they've hijacked the transwarp conduit.
Well, you saw the wrecked ships over there. I want to
So
know what happened
so
to
that's
Jellicoe's
clearly
ship.
why like it's kind of Borg
How many
adjacent in the way
pilots
that
on a
she's
starship? How many pilots on a starship would have had to have gone through the? There's like no one left but the Maj on the planet. Now I'm starting to think of the implications
okay,
of all
hold on,
those ships.
hold on. You don't know that those ships were still Starfleet controlled when they came back, because they could be Borg
No, none of those
assimilated.
ships came back. The Infinity is the first ship to escape this horror.
No, but that's not
And
what I mean. All of the
oh,
ships that are crashed on the planet, you don't, because basically when they were going through the transwarp conduit, um, you like you don't know if they were still Starfleet or anything. Like maybe when they were going through the transwarp conduit, they had been assimilated by the Borg on whatever attack, and the Borg were
oh,
coming back home because this conduit they're clearly using it to go back to the Delta Quadrant, right? So maybe the Borg had assimilated and they were
oh.
taking these ships back,
I hadn't
because like
thought of that. I actually thought like potential thousands of Starfleet officers had to like go to this race, like or be destroyed or whatever. Like all kinds of crazy things must have happened. But yeah, that's a good
mm,
point too. It could have been they could have been pre-assimilated and stuff like that. Um, but yeah, so Toddy, we're coming up to we're a little past the hour, and we we
outrageous.
yeah, so we're gonna quickly go towards the ending, which I thought was very creepy when I first saw this. I was like
Oh,
creeped out
space
by it.
tentacles.
Yeah, so what do you think that's all about? Like,
Oh
I'm
my,
curious
I
to hear.
okay,
Like,
okay.
from
So
did you hear the clicking sound they were making? Could it be something that we've seen in the past that could go through walls and stuff like that, and maybe try to abduct people, like in TNG? Like, did you have that thought at all, or anything like that?
now you're making me think of that episode where Riker was on that chair.
Yeah, exactly. Like weren't the tentacles making similar clicking sounds to that? I felt. I don't know. I mean, I know what happens. I'm trying to see what
He's trying to fool me.
I'm trying to
They're
fool you a
saying,
little bit.
okay, all
Keep you
right.
off
So
the I'm
it's
trying to keep you off the
the
trail a little, I
crustaceans, the
admit
shrimp of the galaxy, have been
it.
abducting. No, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what it is. I have no idea. Like these tentacles, they could be anything. You know what I mean? They did remind me of Cthulhu a bit, from Picard. Like the whole thing where time stopped kind of reminded me of that episode where like the fruit
Mhm.
goes super old.
Oh yeah.
And then like how like they like there's like I think there's the Enterprise and a Romulan vessel kind of locked in like this time stop of some kind. I don't know.
But it's very curious, right?
It's it's very curious.
Very curious.
I gotta say, like honestly, I'm holding myself to this like one episode a week thing, and we do the conversations and I move on.
Oh,
It's all very exciting, it's thrilling, but it's tough. Like y'all did a good job at make me want to like carry on watching.
it's true. Should we do the two-parters as one episode? I don't know.
Yes, I
Okay,
think
we'll do
that
that
makes
then.
the most sense to me because that's what we did for the first episode, first and second.
Yeah, we did do that. So we'll keep that tradition. Benji in the audience says, "Did we bring up the Nandor shirt?" I meant to bring it up. I don't know what that is.
Nandor, I am Nandor the Relentless because I never relent. You've never seen for
No, I don't.
president or for borough
No.
president, not president, but yeah, Guillermo.
What's Nandor from?
Nandor is from. What am I blurring out? Nandor is from what's it called? What We Do in the Shadows.
Oh, I still haven't seen that show. Oh,
Yeah,
that's
you
weird how
have.
you just disappeared.
Poof.
I s-
Well, no, it's all blurry. There we go.
You have to
Yeah,
watch Battlestar Galactica, and I have to watch What We Do in the Shadows after
What We Do
Void.
in the Shadows is a great film, and then they made a show based on it. And like the pilot is weird because it's like a 20-minute recreation of the movie, basically.
Mhm.
But it was kind of like a proof of concept that it could be done as a show. But then from then on, it really becomes its own thing, and it's one of the best shows. Like you would love Guillermo a lot. A
Okay, I'll
lot
check it out.
because he's
All
not
right.
quite a vampire, you know what I mean? He's what they call a familiar, so he hangs out with the vampires and he does everything that the vampires want, and in exchange eventually he'll be bitten or bit and he'll become a vampire, you know what I mean?
Oh, I
But you know,
gotcha.
like you don't want to be old when they do that. You want to be in like the
He's
prime
like
of your youth, you know what I mean?
he's like what's his face? Igor or whatever. Do you remember that movie with Leslie Nielsen where he was a vampire? Dracula Dead and Loving It. Did you ever see Dracula Dead and Loving It?
I don't think I've seen
Igor,
that.
I'm outside and I'm having fried chicken. And it's like this funny thing.
But
Anyways.
you'll love like what we do in the shadows is really goofy because it's vampires that are really kind of stupid or outdated, so to speak. Like they're vampires that still live like they have understandings from like the century they came from. So if they come from the 17th century or the 14th century, then that's kind of how they think. But they're in 2024, right?
Yeah.
So it doesn't work that well. But it's great. It's funny.
Well, Toddy, it's time for us to wrap up. I see you're being summoned as well. So
I am being summoned.
Let's give our episode ratings, and I look forward to next week. We're also gathering right live to discuss Is There in Beauty No Truth, which is a play on
We
a
didn't
DOS
do the hot
episode.
D. I don't know.
No, we're gonna do the hot D real quick after, but we got to finish Prodigy.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Renfield is who I was thinking of, not Igor. I was thinking Igor, but yes, Renfield. But anyways, so I'm gonna give this episode. You know, I actually initially
They did a new
was gonna get
Renfield. They just released a new one with Nicolas Cage, didn't they? And Nicholas Hoult too.
Nicholas Hoult. Yeah,
Yeah.
Witness
me.
I was initially gonna give this episode a 9.5, but I think it's 9.8. It's still a 9. It's still very high.
Ridiculous. You're so ridiculous with these.
Especially talking about it, I like feel like there's a lot more.
You make me
deeper
look
things
bad
that I
every
didn't
time with
get.
these over exaggerated ratings. Because then when I
It's
give
not
like a logic, a normal
hey.
rating,
Hey, it's not an
it's
over
feeling.
exaggeration. It's
It's how
my
you feel
rating.
of it. Yeah,
That's
that's
my
fair
rating.
enough.
Don't you dare, sir. I don't make fun of your ratings being too low.
That's very true.
They're overly exaggerated low.
So what do you think my rating is? As per
I think you're
tradition.
gonna give this one I think so far you've been giving 7, so I think you're
Hmm.
gonna give this one a 7 or a 7.5. That's my
I do. I
prediction.
think it's a 7. You know what? I'll give it a 7.5 because I think it was a joy to look at. Like I marveled in the design. So 7.5.
Excellent. Well, again, high marks once again for another great episode of Star Trek Prodigy. Next week, we're going to be gathering to talk about, I already said it, Is There in Beauty No Truth? So that's really fun. Tonight, check out Text Trek. I think tonight's the Prodigy retrospective. No, what's tonight? What's tonight, Text Trek? Tell us. I forgot.
What's
But they're
tonight?
they're on at 7. I think they're talking about Prodigy season 1 and 2 or something like that. I forget. Or maybe the whole season or something. I'm not sure. If you're still in the audience, let us know. Or I gotta go read that tweet that you that you such a bad friend. I'm such a bad friend. Sorry, Father. I knew it was season 2
Prodigy
retrospective. I had it
season
right the first time. Okay,
retrospective.
cool.
There you go.
More Prodigy tonight, so go check that out.
You
And
can go and spoil things in the chat in that
yeah,
one
because
because
Toddy won't be
everyone's seen
there.
it and I won't be there.
All right, let's give 1 minute of my beef, which is no
Thank
longer a
you,
beef.
everyone, for still being respectful and not spoiling everything. It's so cool.
It's true. My beef with the Hot D season 2 was, I think, answered by Jill earlier, which is it did feel like there was something missing, which is also the same feeling. So I had a trauma. I was remembering the finale of Game of Thrones itself, where it felt like stuff was not, it just didn't feel like, fully baked, I guess, if you will. And I just really wanted more. So yeah,
Okay.
it left me wanting. And so that
So
was why.
I'm gonna go with this analogy of yours here, this whole fully baked. And I'm gonna say it like this, right? Right now, we ain't cooking the bread yet with Hot D. You know what I mean? Like season 1, we made the dough. Season 2, we're letting it rise. You know what I mean? Season 3, we're gonna start cooking that thing. You know
It'll
what I
be
mean?
firm in season 3.
Firm. It'll be cooked and firm. And in season 4, we're gonna eat that.
Crispy,
We're gonna eat that
yummy.
bread. We're gonna slice it. We're gonna eat it. It's gonna be. That's the way that it's being set up. Game of Thrones, it was a whole different story because they made a bread and it was pretty good. And then I don't know, they just decided to make another one, but they put shit in it and then they didn't turn the oven on and it didn't work. So they screwed up the second bread.
I actually overall like Game of Thrones' ending. I just thought it like there were a lot of little elements that were good. I think that's
honestly, the one big thing that I've seen people beef about with like this House of the Dragon season 2 finale is, and spoilers, I guess. I'll try to be vague enough.
Oh yeah, spoilers for Hot D if you don't want to.
Spoilers for House of the Dragon, or I'll try to be vague. But there's a certain situation with a city and a dragon that was kind of talked about, but wasn't shown on screen. And it's like, I love dragons fighting dragons on the show, and some of those scenes are like the hypest scenes for me. Do I really want to see someone burn innocent people and kill an entire town on screen just
Maybe
because?
Not. Especially
no, I don't
of
care
what's
about
going
that.
on in the
It's
world.
not a battle. It's not something that I revel in. I don't care about that.
Also, I think especially with the state of the world, it would be like it would have been bad tone. Yeah.
Talking about it is sufficient enough for me. And really like giving time for like characters to reflect upon that and talk about it amongst themselves in the waiting for like season 3 is good. I understand like the whole I'm gonna have to wait 2 years for season 3, but I think that once the show is out and we revisit it the same way no one revisits Game of Thrones ever, but when we revisit House of the Dragon, I think that it's gonna be like, it's going to flow better because you won't have those 2 years of a wait. And I think it was a better way of doing things. So I honestly don't got beef with it. The only speck of beef I've ever had with House of the Dragon is the fact that they constantly reference A Song of Ice and Fire. And I've seen A Song of Ice and Fire end on the show and it's crap. I don't care. So stop referencing. I know that like the whole prophecy is what they reference. It's the whole show, but I don't like the prophecy and I don't like the way that it unfolds. So every time they reference A Song of Ice and Fire, I get a little I don't like it though. But that's not House of the Dragon's fault. It's
not
Game of Thrones, the show's fault. And
we might have to
say applies to the books, by the way. I haven't read
we might have to do a separate Hot D discussion sometime because this is actually very interesting. But okay, we finished our Hot D moment with Toddy that we promised everyone that we would do.
It's very well like it's the performances are absolutely outstanding.
Matt Smith is insane. All of them.
I am converted on Matt Smith. I agree with him as an actor. I honestly, I have no problems with the VFX. Like, I think the VFX are great. The sets, the costumes, I think that the writing is very solid. No, I think it's an amazing show. And, not every show is going to be perfect. Like, every show is going to have its own little failing. But honestly, to complain about a show of the quality of House of the Dragon is kind of like, to complain about that show and say it's not good is wild to me.
Oh, interesting. Now I know how people feel about. Now you know how I feel about Picard. It's wild to me that people complain about that shit. No, okay, sorry. I had to look
Can
at
you
your
sit
face.
here? Can you sit here and tell me? Okay, can you sit here and tell me
Yes,
that
I
like Picard
can.
seasons 1 and 2 are of the quality of House of the Dragon? Seasons 1 and 2? Would you say that?
The fact that I didn't answer instantly means I have to think about it.
Yeah,
There is
that
a way I would say that, but because you can't really compare the two, honestly speaking. But I do
you
think that
cannot. That's
Picard
very true.
season one, but I do think that Picard season one, season two, and season three, are prestige level. All of the new Star Trek, in my opinion, is prestige level.
Okay.
If I'm being honest, like it may not have the budget of House of the Dragon, but as far as like the effort goes into it and the thought and everything and how it connects to the
Hmm.
wider universe, all of the shows today, just like we talked about in this episode, where the like things like the Kazon culture being explored further and all that stuff, I think all the shows are kind of prestige level in that sense, that they're
The
really
Kazon
elevating
are the
Star Trek.
Dothraki of space, are they not?
They really are. It's true. Anyway, Team Cyrix. I have to decide which Dragons team I'm on. But we'll have that discussion at some point. Are you open to well, we got our second breakfast is coming soon.
I'm sorry,
December,
you
right?
don't know who you support in the Game of the Throne in
I
House of
think
the
I
Dragon?
definitely support the Rhaenyra's side, but I don't know which dragon I like the best yet,
It doesn't
because
matter
they're all
which
really
dragon.
cool.
It doesn't matter. Okay, okay, I see what you mean. Which dragon?
Yeah. Team
Okay,
Dragon, which dragon I want.
okay. I like what's his face? I
I
like
think
his
it's
dragon
gonna
because he's got the
be
biggest. I like the biggest dragon. That's how
yeah,
simple I am.
sure. Anyways, so
I
Toddy,
didn't
thank you
say it. I said the biggest dragon.
one
Yes,
more question.
we could do a House of the Dragon retrospective if you want, like season 2. Is that what you wanted to do, or no?
Yeah, I would like to do that. I don't think I have an episode husband in Hot D. It might be dang, that's a tough one. I think Queen Rhaenyra is my episode husband, and she hasn't died yet, so no, the trend is not the same. All right, folks, thanks for joining us. Thanks for sticking around for that weird Hot D segment.
There's no House of the Dragon segment every week, people. It was
No,
just
there
we
is
needed
not.
to.
Yeah, we're gonna stick to Prodigy, but we kind of got into it from on Twitter, and then I said that we should have it. So we wanted to see Toddy f our complaints, and he just
I'm
did.
kind
So
of
that's
fanboying about the show right now, so
it's
like maybe I'll look back at this and think, what an idiot. But no, I really like the show. So
all right, Sean. Anything you want to say before we go?
um, amazing show, Star Trek Prodigy. Um, and I want to see more of it. So hopefully this thing can get like greenlit for a million more seasons.
Yeah.
I'm really hyped to keep on watching this, and thank you everyone for being so kind and considerate.
Yeah, I can't wait to talk to you at the end of our journey here, because there's a lot of things that we can talk more about Prodigy's future, and hopefully by then, since we're doing it episode by episode, maybe we'll be lucky enough to, while we're doing this stream, get an announcement that there is a season 3 being greenlit. The fans are certainly making the effort. I watch it. I've watched every episode now like 4 times, so I really want Netflix to see the views. And I saw on Twitter that we're gonna fly another airplane, encouraging Netflix to
I
renew.
mean,
So fingers
okay,
crossed.
I'm not going to be mean about this, but Netflix had a whole lot of money that they put aside to produce more Rebel Moon content and more Army of the Dead content for Zack Snyder, but they're not doing that anymore. And I'm
Ah,
so they could just take a bit of that money and make
I
some more
know.
Prodigy,
It's probably a
make
lot
some
of
more
money. It's
Prodigy
true.
with it. Yeah, because they probably had a lot of money lined up for Zack Snyder. So just pretend like some of that got lost, take it, and make Prodigy with it. That would be nice.
Make it so, Netflix. Prodigy season 3. Let's keep going. All right, Toddy, thank you so much. Thanks, Aaron, for joining us in our chat. That was so much fun. Thank you to everyone awesome comments, great discussion in the chat, all kinds of things from Civet to House of the Dragon. So, I think we can safely say we've covered everything and the kitchen sink. So, live long and prosper.